This was not a Groyper. This is not a Nick Fuentes acolyte. And by the way, even if the killer was a right-wing extremist, which he definitely unequivocally was not, the left would still own Charlie's murder because they've taken ownership of it. They spent the last 4 days since his assassination celebrating en masse. Thousands upon thousands of them have personally endorsed the man who slaughtered Charlie. So that even if the guy were a right-wing Republican, which again he is not, he would still now be one of theirs by adoption. They own this because they have said so themselves. Thousands of them have said that. They've said, we support this, we like it, do it more. But again, the killer is not right-wing.
So I'm going to be talking about all the different things that I do know about this assassination. There is a lot of details, and there's a lot of details that are contradicting themselves. But, you know, we're just going to get into everything. I wanted to put that video of Matt Walsh because even though we are talking about Israel, which is fair because there's a lot of weird things revolving around Israel, we still have to address the problem within our own borders, and that is the left, because of how they reacted. Not only that, but how they are also pushing for more violence on conservatives. And this hasn't just happened because of Charlie. This has been an ongoing trend of pushing propaganda about conservatives because liberals are being taught to demonize their own American people in a very dictator type of style because, of course, the left does promote a lot of communism. But let's just get into what we know about Tyler Robinson, right? So a lot of people were saying that he was Republican, but he's not. His family is Republican, but he is not Democrat or Republican. So he did go to college recently. His family says that he started becoming more political also within these couple of years. He never confessed. This is where it gets weird. He never confessed. However, his father, and at first the New York Times has said his family and a family friend helped turn him in. Then they started saying that it was his father and a priest that turned him in. However, again, Tyler Robinson himself never confessed, okay? The weapon that they're talking about that was used was a Mauser 98.3006 caliber with a scope mounted on top of it. And this is where it gets also really weird. There was a video evidence at 8:29 a.m., right, on September 10th. At first, he was wearing maroon with shorts, and then he changed into blue jeans with a long t-shirt, the one that we saw. And then they said on September 12th, when they arrested him, he was found in the exact same clothes as he first appeared. So in the maroon shirt with shorts. They said that he changed clothes on the roof. Now, that part is so weird because why are you constantly changing? There's videos showing him leaving the roof. Now, I want to know if there's videos showing him changing on the roof because how did they know exactly it was on the roof, you know? And a lot of people are talking about the bullets and what was written on the bullets because it has ties to furry culture. The bullet that was fired, it had a message of notices bulges, OWO, what is this? And this is referencing to a furry meme that's part of the whole transgender culture. And then there were, of course, 3 others. Now, 1 hour after the shots were fired, a plane takes off, then it turns off for 45 minutes. It turns off its automatic dependent surveillance broadcast, and it had departed at 1:11 p.m. and it reappeared at 2:30 p.m. at around the northern border of Arizona. And around 3:06 p.m. it had returned to Utah. The person that is connected to this plane is Derek Maxfield and Shalane Maxfield. They have photos of them in Israel, so there is an Israeli connection with the airplane. They have a non-for-profit organization called Sapria, and this Sapria organization is all about helping victims of sexual abuse when they were children. In 2022, Sapria launched a kosher retreat in Utah where they were connecting with Rabbi Avremi Zippel at Shabbat Lubavitch of Utah. And this is an Orthodox Jewish movement. Now in part 2, I'm going to talk about George Zinn and his connections to 9/11 also. Strange things. Okay, so this is part 2. Now, George Zinn was also a suspect in this whole entire thing. Now, this is why a lot of people are talking about Israel. In part 1, I had talked about the airplane and how already within that there is Jewish/Israeli connections as well. And so with George Zinn, he's 71 years old and he has had arrests since 1980s. Now, the New York Post had said, quote, almost every political event you can think of, there was always George somewhere in the background listening. Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill told Salt Lake Tribune. And in 2013, George Zinn had threatened to bomb Salt Lake City Marathon. There was also a video of him from Weber Remembers the 9/11 Project, in which the Major Brent Taylor Foundation had posted about him. Now, Brent Taylor was a member of Utah National Guard and also was former mayor of North Ogden, and he was killed in Afghanistan. Now, I would love to hear this foundation's comment about George Zinn because they are still running.
Leave the hotel on September 11th, early that morning, and go back to Salt Lake City. And they said, come down, look in the lobby. Something's happening here. They said there's a plane that's headed towards one of the towers in New York City. And we're just glued. Everybody in the lobby is just going, wow, this is pilot error. What's going on here? You know, it was very confusing. And we see that plane go in, and we just think, wow, you know. And then I think it was a 9/12 or something like that that second plane hit that tower. Immediately chaos.
Now, the FBI has said that he had left palm imprints as well as a forearm imprint as well as shoe impression. They say that it is Tyler Robinson, and it would be interesting to see if it matches with his fingerprints. Now, the other weird thing about this whole entire situation was the repeated number 33. Now, 33 was the age in which Jesus Christ had been crucified, and which signifies sacrifice, because Jesus died for us and was sacrificed. And they kept repeating the number 33, which I found very interesting. Now, 33 also has Freemasonry connections, so that's very, very interesting. Another weird part about this whole entire thing was how officials had said that they talked to the roommate and how the roommate has showed messages on Discord. However, Discord came out and disagreed and said, no, actually there was no messages about Tyler Robinson planning this unaliving. So that is also very, very interesting. When it comes to TMZ, TMZ is also another weird subject, and how they were laughing. Now, the influencer, the right wing, who is on Rumble and is also on YouTube and of course TikTok and Instagram. Well, actually I'm not sure about TikTok, but I know he's on Instagram, and he had talked about how the scope was in a manner in which when he shot, he would have shot right in his own eye.
Supposed inscriptions on it, which I think that was made up. The scope was mounted in a manner that while he shot, it would hit him in the eye. It's embarrassing to watch, honestly. And where did the scope come from? I had people claiming, well, he took the scope off the gun, put the scope in his pocket, put the gun down this pant leg, or some even said he disassembled the gun altogether. That's not easy, and you can't put it back and assemble it in a few seconds, which would have had to have been that way. But they said that he took everything out, put the scope on the gun, screwed it on, and then lined up and shot. And y'all think that was accurate? Have you ever taken a scope off of a gun and put it back on and tried to shoot something? The sights are completely lost, let alone from 140 yards. I don't think you could hit a 50-yard shot with the gun that had that done to it that accurately, let alone 140 yards, 145, whatever it was. So no, the scope did not come off. I don't know when it was disassembled. And even besides that, he comes off the roof with no gun in his hand. There is not a gun. I've zoomed in. I've looked at that video. There's not a gun there. with him as he comes off that roof. And even if there was, they said, well, he disassembled it somehow in 10 seconds, put it into the backpack. And then they find the gun fully reassembled, laid out in the woods behind the building in a box, a cardboard box. Well, where did the box come from? Why did he reassemble the gun? That doesn't make any freaking sense. Like, it doesn't take an expert to look at those things and say, what happened here?
I do not have the knowledge of guns like that, so I am not the person to talk to when it comes to this. But I do find that interesting because now there was another person that Candace Owens had also showed who also owns guns, and he says, no. There's a lot to this that is not correct.
I know I shouldn't do this. I'm risking an awful lot to go up against this FBI, the MAGA FBI. Something's very wrong with what I just heard. I watched it. I was hoping that they had caught the bastard who shot Charlie. So we saw a video of a person jumping off the roof. It looked very legitimate to me. However, there was no rifle in his hand. Now, the Mauser does not break down very easily, incidentally, for those of you who know weapons. Something's wrong with the whole thing. They're trying to claim he removed the barrel from the Mauser and fit the receiver and stock in his backpack and barrel in his pants leg all in 2 seconds. It is not easy to remove a Mauser barrel or index it after reinstalling and remain accurate. We are not hearing or seeing reality. And by the way, the photo of the rifle allegedly left in the woods has the barrel installed. So we're supposed to believe a guy is on the run after killing Charlie Kirk, and he pauses in the woods to reinstall a barrel, and he leaves it for us to find, the FBI to find. I don't believe a word of it. I shouldn't do this. I know I'm putting myself at risk, but I can't take it anymore. I can't take the bullshit from this fucking government. It's lying to us. Something's wrong. Something's so wrong. It's sickening.
Now, even before this unaliving, there's a situation going on in Utah with the FBI's as well, and how there are 3 FBI, they had been fired and they are suing. So I find that to also be very, very interesting. I can't give you full information because I want to learn more. Now, Israel, of course, is being tied into this because of the things that Charlie was saying before his unaliving. And also because of what had happened during the Hamptons, because Charlie had gone to the Hamptons and there was an altercation over there, and basically how he got threatened. And so there is much more to this whole entire story. So of course, whatever I find, I will tell you guys, okay?
Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Now, does all of this mean that Bibi Netanyahu and that this somehow proves that Israel was involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? No, we have no evidence of that. We can't say that because there is no evidence of that. But I don't like little lies. That's what I will say. Something that I always say in my household is, when there is one lie, there's 20. There's no reason to lie. Bibi could have gone on Fox News and he could have told the truth. He could have said truthfully that Charlie Kirk has always loved Israel. He has always loved Israel as the Holy Land. He's been here many times. And throughout his career, he has been a faithful supporter of Israel. That's not what he said. Okay. He talks about the phone call and didn't give it the proper context. He held up the letter and didn't give it the proper context. And lies by severe omission, I'd like to be very clear, are lies. Lies by severe omission are lies. You're not going to gaslight us and tell us to shut up or call us anti-Semitic for pointing out the fact that Charlie was having a change of heart about the tactics that Israel was using in America, and that he felt when he had left that meeting that he had effectively been blackmailed. Again, my platform is yours, Seth Dillon. My platform is yours, Bill Ackman. So if you want to clarify it, we can do it in front of millions, okay? And I think that that's what people deserve, because everyone has PTSD. We watched Charlie get shot in the throat. That feels a little bit symbolic. It feels like they wanted us to know that his voice was problematic. Again, I don't know who they is. Just absurd. The Holocaust happened. You heard him. We're sick of this shit. We really are. And there will be no narrative that I will not prod when it comes to figuring out why people are lying about the state that Charlie was in when it came to the topic of Israel. Again, you can examine Charlie in his own words.